Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar from SPEC Innovations, Innoslate 4.11, Revolutionizing MBSE with AI. My name is Taylor Duffy, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. First, I would like to go over some housekeeping. During the presentation, feel free to send us questions, and we will get them answered in the Q&A part of the webinar. You can also interact with us on LinkedIn through the Innoslate users group or through Twitter using the handle @SPEC Innovations. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you after the live presentation, so keep an eye out for it in your inbox. Now, I would like to introduce you to our presenter, SPEC Innovations President and Founder, Dr. Stephen Dam. Dr. Dam has been involved with research, experiments, operations analysis, software development, systems engineering, and training for more than 40 years. He has also received an Expert Systems Engineering Professional ESEP certification from INCOSE. He is currently applying systems engineering techniques to various DoD, DOE, and commercial projects. Feel free to send him any questions through the LinkedIn users group or send him an email to steven.dam@specinnovations.com. And now I'll hand over the controls to Dr. Dam and we'll get started.
Thanks, Taylor. So this is going to be a short set of slides, and we're going to spend most of the time in the tool showing you the new updates. So, and I'm not going to go through a lot of history of the tool or anything like that. So again, all that's on our website. And if you want more information about the general features, be glad to give that at any time. But yeah, we're going to focus today on the new features. So here's the set of new features that we came up with. And so this was a pretty big drop. So this was a feature release, this drop 4.11. We alternate between feature releases and usability releases every year. So basically we have two major releases every year. And that's been our cadence for some time now, which has been quite good. So a lot of the big things, and particularly I'm sure a lot of you were here for the AI and talking about how we've applied generative AI, and you can see that list of items there. We're going to go through a number of those. I don't know if I'll be able to hit all of them, but I'll try to hit as many as I can. But there are a lot of other things that happened as well. Many of them were specific suggestions that people had made to us and that looked for in what we were doing. So that's also part of this. So anyway, and by the way, we just what you're seeing, in fact, here is presentation view. That is the actual slide set. In this view, the main thing we were trying to do was make it so you could annotate diagrams, but it turned into a more of a full-up slide kind of presentation capability. It's not meant to replace PowerPoint. But it can help you if you're trying to go between diagrams and presentations that you're doing, because this allows you to do things like, let me get one that has a diagram in it. I'll bring up a different presentation I have. And so this is the presentation dashboard. Again, looks like a lot of our other dashboards. You probably don't even realize the difference. And then in here, this is actually a presentation I gave at the INCOSE International Workshop, and also using Innoslate. Walk through our normal slides. These are actually the ones that I've shown many times in PowerPoint over the years, and walking through those. The one thing we don't have at the moment is animation. So we mimic animation this way. There's a current slide, and then you just simply, there are different slides that have the information on them. So it looks like animation, but it's actually separate slides. Now here's an actual example of a diagram that I have that's a live diagram in the tool being annotated with all kinds of other information. If I escape this and go to that diagram, that chart, I should say, I can go in and double click on the diagram, and it'll take me to the actual diagram itself. So then I can see information about each one and relationships associated with them. is all metadata. So this is actually an asset diagram. See here, asset diagram, and describes our digital ecosystem. So this is a way for you to, a lot of people have asked for this ability to annotate the diagram. So let's say you have a diagram where you've colored a lot of lines, things like that, or dashes mean certain things, and I could add a legend in this way to that diagram using the presentation view. So that's certainly one of many use cases for this. One of the benefits, though, that I hadn't even appreciated at first was the fact that now I can reuse slides. So if I have the exact same slide I want to use in different views and different formats, I can take that slide and use it in other presentations. Now, if I change that slide in the other presentation, it's going to change it in the original presentation. So we are working on a way to duplicate the slides as well. I don't think that's in this first release of this, but it will be available soon. Some other features here are templates. So you have the ability to have different kinds of templates and different structures of it. You can create elements, including equations. There's actually an equation example here you can use. Oftentimes what you're doing is bringing in images. So we bringing a lot of pictures. Again, this came from different tools, PowerPoint among others, but some of these original diagrams may have come from Adobe Illustrator and things like that. You can upload that, or you can, again, here's how you bring in the different charts and diagrams within the tool. So that's the other option. So that's how we brought in the diagram. When I wanted to bring a diagram, I would then select the diagram I want. And in this case, I don't want to bring my action items, but that's what I would bring in here if I was doing that. So, yeah, again, uploads is probably what you're going to do a lot of, and then you have the pictures available for use as you need them in other parts of the presentation. So, again, it's just a starting point with it. You can report out to project, not here. This is individual slides, so I do individual pictures and things like that. I can open the slide entity view. I can look at its history, all the other things with it as well. Open other presentations as well, information. So this is the presentation information itself. So again, I have both options here now. Adding new slides or existing slides. You can create slide sets as well. I have not explored that much. In here, on here, you have the option about the slide number, how you want it displayed. Some little wrench, zoom, of course. This is also how you change the slide background. You can basically apply the same background to all images and do it that way. So this is another way to inherit the presentation's background. So again, there's lots of options here as well. Add slide set label. So again, these are new enough that I don't even know all the different little features in it. So I'm exploring it along with you. One of the nice things I like a lot is there are a lot of guidelines for you with it. So there's things like that that'll help you do things. But you do understand this is our first release of this, so there'll be lots of probably suggestions you have in the future how to improve this. So we're looking forward to hearing about those from you. Hopefully you'll find this to be useful with what you're trying to do. I know we actually had a number of people over the years I heard say things like, well, yes, I'm still using PowerPoint to do my presentation. I'm not doing it from the tool. Now you can do it completely from the tool and make it look like a presentation as well. And again, that interaction between the tool and how I'm presenting the information makes it more seamless and a little easier. So that's one big item. We have a number of other little ones. Let me get to the AI, because I know everybody's dying to know about the AI. So let's go to a different project here. And here's one of my other examples that I use a lot. So I'm in here and I click into any field here. And we have a couple places where AI comes in. The description field library that we use is something called Redactor. So we upgraded to version 3 of Redactor, and version 3 of Redactor gives me a lot more stuff, including special characters, text sizing, font, color, all kinds of other things. Table, of course, we had before. You know, these are things that that's off. That you'll find very helpful in terms of formatting options, more formatting options we've had before as well. And in here also built in is an AI. Now, this gives you ways to change tone, simplify it, complete sentences. You know, you see the kinds of features you have here. So lots of different things. Again, this is what's built into the AI part of it itself. Also, you can go full screen. You know, something that sometimes these get to be very large paragraphs. And so you end up having significant amount of information in. So now you can go full screen and see the entire thing and work with it there. So last but definitely not, oh, another thing is structurally. So in this, if I come in here and space, you notice how this has created another block. So they've blocked the text. So you can see how that is. Also, there's a word and character count for you. Again, that's often helpful information for when you're limited to number of characters or number of words in a paragraph. So it can help you to develop those correctly. Also in here, now, then I was going to get to the plus. So the plus sign is where we have lots of other things. Okay, this is where you can input, and you're familiar with most of these probably, where you can input all kinds of things in there. But here's also where our AI text tools come into play. So you click there, and now it brings you up the context, which is the words that are in there, and then a prompt. And so you can do all kinds of things with that prompt, and ask it questions and refine it, and even change the tone. And one of the most fun ones is this one, sarcastic. So let's just generate a preview of that. So obviously this is not something you want to put into your academic papers or your other activities, but it is certainly kind of fun. You might find some utility for it. Let's see. Another thing that comes into this is in the More tab, we have a splitter. So you have the ability now to split things by sentence or by paragraph. Now, these are individual paragraphs now. So if I do it by paragraph and I want to make children of those, I would just hit next, and then it would build me. Now, what it does is put the first one in the main one, and then has a lower level one. That may or may not be what you want exactly. So again, you can adjust this as you need to. Much of this can be edited directly in here. Again, you add a new row afterwards. And then, you know, so then there's lots of features in here to help you take the information, break it up as you need to more, particularly if you've got a paragraph with 4 or 5 requirements in it. This is something you're going to want to be able to do. So, and the quality checker, of course, it checks for that kind of problem. What else here with this? Yeah, so Redactor is a big change, and so do be aware of that. It should be seamless. Hopefully nobody has any problems with that. Again, if you do, let us know. We haven't seen any difficulties in the work we've been doing. So also, oh, by the way, I skipped over this, which was this lets you set different style headings. So if you want to do different styles here, you can do that as well. So that's very nice. You got also your smart quotes. So things like that to help you develop a better word processing kinds of activities as you need to with the tool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here I wanted to show you. Okay, so some more of the AI capabilities. and I want to say it's here. Okay, so we have two other new options for generating things, risks and test cases. So you can do that directly from here. If I want to generate a risk, I would take a look for that and find out what my risk is next. And they give you a number of different options of things you might think are key risks. You can select up to 3, and of course you can keep repeating this as you need to. So if you decide these 3 are the ones I want, and then hit next, and there's the things it's looking for. So these are the risks it's generated. So it adds an R.1 to the risk numbering. So it's giving you a risk number, and it's relaying it back to that VR1.2. You have the descriptions of the risk, and then a consequence, and it even comes with probabilities and the risk label. So you actually have a kind of a, as a technical risk or programmatic risk. And similarly with this one, this is the second one of them, and then this is showing as a schedule risk. And then here we have a cost risk. So these are all helpful ways to get you started generating your risks. Now, these will not put the risks in a risk diagram for you. So you'd have to add these manually. I'm going to go back and show you that same thing with the risk diagram and show you that how that's done there. Also here, generate test cases. So this is another thing that's considered best practice. As we build our requirements, we should be building our test cases for those requirements. That way we know they're verifiable, right? And so we start building those as we go. Again, we give it the context. This is showing the parent context as well as the child. So we have information from any parents that are available as well when there's a child. And again, here it adds a TC in front, so you know it's a test case associated with VR2. By the way, once we create these individual test cases or risks, we do link them together using the appropriate relationship as well for traceability. I forgot to mention I did that before. You can kind of see here, this is pretty good information. And this does one at a time. So just here's the test case. So again, it gives you all the steps you need for this. So hopefully this will make it so we do a better job of our job as systems engineers is not just developing the requirements, but also having to verify and understand the risks associated with those requirements as we go through that analysis. So these are really key features that are available in the tool today. So again, you have that general prompt that you can use here for text tools. So you can ask it anything, just like we've always done. The difference is we put the context and give you a prompt thing here separately and give you that tone options, how you want to actually be written, and then preview it and save it that way. So that's one. And then the other two with the more tab are generate risks and generate test cases. So again, this is all from the documents view and looking at a requirement and seeing what I can do with that requirement. And this came from quite a bit of research work we did in artificial intelligence over the last year and a half. For those of you who are familiar with Innoslate, we have had generative AI in the tool since summer of last year. We put in a chatbot for that purpose. This is now taking that the next step into how to create really good prompts to engineer what you really want out of it. So So I think you'll find this to be very useful in moving us forward as a discipline. Let's see. I know there's lots of other features here, so I'm trying to go through the list in my mind too. So let me go back to my slide, and in fact, so I don't forget something important. And I can do this. I can actually move this tab to another screen where I have it, and so I can actually see it now. So I hadn't done that before, which I should have done. And that way I can see what's going on and make sure I'm hitting all the features we want to get to. So we do have AI image generation also. That is limited because it can become very expensive. But there is a DALL-E 3 capability with the tool. I do not see it in my tool set here, so I believe that's not available to me. I think we have this only on our test server to check it out, but that is something that's available in the admin. So that gives me a good segue into the admin panel itself. So we've updated that pretty significantly. And I know a lot of you are not administrators, but this will help you communicate with them. So here I am, the administrator of SPEC Innovations. First of all, one of the exciting things is I can look at much longer periods of time for usage. And so we can look at a full year. And so that can track, you know, how am I doing? Am I spiking? Am I starting to run out of licenses somewhere? I can start seeing that problem with taking a look at a broader period of time. We also added a lot of reports in this view. A lot of good things there to add to that. You can see active, 20 users, 75% active. That's an interesting number. And again, you can report user reports downloadable here as a CSV. Very, very helpful. Up here, there's also something called preferences. So in here, you have preferences. And for the academic people, by the way, we have an academic organization option where we will be putting banners across all of them. And your academic organization, if you have a separate organization, you'll see that academic use only banner as one of the options. In here, you can configure your own URLs and things like that. I believe this has to be done by the overall administrator, database administrator, but we can adjust these per well, here it is, it enables. So if I enable, I can adjust different things here. Oh, yeah, not use default. There we go. So I can select my AI provider. So we have two right now, OpenAI and Ask Sage. Ask Sage is a secure platform that gives you access to many of the AI tools, but they do charge a fair amount of money. And so again, you will have to get your own tokens for that purpose. In our OpenAI, you would just select your AI API key you need and add that here. And then chat models as well. So that's another idea. And then of course, if you're image providers, again, you can select which ones you want and select the model image types. Again, you have to give it the key to unlock this, but that's where you get to all that. I will go back to default because you don't want to mess up our organization. I'll disable that. There we go. Okay, so these are places where you have control over your artificial intelligence and what ones you use, what versions, what chat models, all those kinds of things to give you configuration of your AI. So we tried to make this as open a platform as possible. We are adding a third option for you besides OpenAI and Ask Sage. We're adding Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure has also recently been approved for more secure environments. And so again, I think that's working. I believe OpenAI is working on that as well. So again, check with all these providers and see where you can get what you're looking for and making sure you're meeting your security requirements for AI. We do think that's an important factor that we all have to be aware of. Nobody wants their intellectual property, let alone secure information, other secure information, shall we say, getting out into the open, into the wild. So we've put it as many controls in there for that as possible to make it reasonable to do that access. So let me go back to my thing here, and let's get back to that fireside example. That's a good one to work with. And so another thing I mentioned was when you go to things like Test Center, we also can add test cases to the Test Center now from requirements. So now if I'm here and I look at this leak propellant test, and let's see if I happen to have a, I don't know if I have a relation, yeah, verifies, okay. So here it verifies this natural frequency test. I don't think that's actually right. I'll probably take that out, but let's use appropriate markings. So now what I want to do is add well, in fact, I already have subcases for that one. Let me pick one that doesn't have something subcase. Here we go. Top panel module acceptance test. And this has a number of different things, so we can pick what we want from there. I'll try to add it here. Okay, so I want to add a requirement. So generate test case after. So you pick that, and then I'm going to look for that requirement. I'm going to make it it's VR2. Now, I've not done this, by the way, so I hope you will bear with me. So this is the appropriate markings and verification. So that's what it's looking for. So let's see what this does for us. And so it's saying, here's how we verify the structural markings. Gives me the procedure for it. Expected result, suggesting inspection, which makes sense for something like this, right? In fact, I'm going to go ahead and create that. That's fantastic. So you can see how I'm automatically updating, recreating things as we need to. Now, I might want to renumber this to be 1.2.2, and then I'm done. So again, I can go through the other requirements and build those test cases, those other requirements as well, as I just did here. This is actually number one. So I hope you see how that works. Again, also notice I can generate risks from here as well. So my test cases, right, can have risks associated with it. Just about anything can have a risk associated with it. So that's another great place for looking at that capability. Let's see, what else here can I show? Oh, I know, risk. I was going to show you the risk. I got another AI feature. Okay, so let's go find risk diagrams. And risk. And here's my all risks. Now from here, I can generate a risk. Again, I have to select what I'm generating it from. So I would say class, colon, maybe I want to pick actions. And then I want to pick my RM, which is my reference model. So this gives me a parent entity, child entity information, all kinds of information about it here. I could click that next. And some very interesting high level. So this is at the mission level, right? So I'm doing some mission engineering and I'm trying to figure out what are some of my mission risks that I might have. orbital debris collision risk. That's a big one. Mission disposal compliance risk. Did I dispose of it correctly? How about satellite communications interruption risk? Maybe so I pick those three. Let's generate them. It's thinking. It does take time. There we go. Not a long time, but it does take a little time. So patience is a virtue. And so again, you can see how it generated these risks. And if I go ahead and say, well, let's create them, it will add them to my list here. So my frame. So, and of course, I don't remember which ones I added. So anyway, so it will add them to this matrix. So anyway, that's what we're looking for to help you, again, help you develop your risks over time. Okay, what else in here? So try to think some of the other information. I think I hit all the AI. Oh gosh, I forgot a couple of really good ones. So another kind of key good one here. So if I'm building like a plan or something like that, and I have a lot of information. So here's my concept operations here, for example. And I want to generate like an executive summary of it. I don't have a lot of information in this at the moment, but I have some, enough to get it started. And what I want to do is get some help with that summary. So one of the options is to summarize. So you can do the summary and you pick what things you want to look at and then hit next. I want to summary the whole document. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want to leave some appendices out or something like that. And so it could give me my key notes here for context. And this is pulling out the things it thinks are really critical. Now, of course, it's picking up a lot of the actual, in this case, it's picking up the template guidelines. So that's where you're seeing a lot of these kinds of things. So hopefully what you do is actually you've got real stuff in there. But let's see what it does for you. So it gives me that. Again, I have one paragraph, 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. One executive summary, I'll probably do 3. English, I can pick my language. So if I want it in a different language, I could do that. I'm not very good with other languages, so I'm gonna do that. And then now it'll do the summary. And if you want to keep this, it'll put the summary in front for you. So you can use this to help you capture the information, summarize it. Again, we're trying to give you things to help you do things that are kind of tedious as much as possible. And this is where the generative AI really can help, because it can look at all kinds of information and generate things like that, summaries and things like that. Also, you can translate the entire document to another language. So let me just do that. Let's move it to Spanish. That's a great language. We have plenty of other options, of course, if you'd like. Japanese is one of them, Korean, Swedish, Russian, wherever you need, Arabic. Let's do Spanish. That's fun. And so it's takes a little time. But anyway, it gives you a very nice document with in Spanish. So we'll move on to something else because I don't want to take all this time with that. So go ahead and try it out yourself and see how that works. It's actually a very exciting feature. So again, lots of other little things. One of the things that was there was actually a complaint a little bit about the fact that we had, when we updated our quality checker to meet the NCOSI standards, we had inadvertently left a couple of these where that it was automatically creating saying yes. And there are two that really do require human decisions, which is correct and feasible. So it can find issues associated with them, and definitely it puts a no there. But ultimately, that'll never be a yes. These two will never be yeses without the human coming in and saying yes to it. So you'll never get a 100% score from the quality checker anymore. So if you saw that a few times and was, wow, that's pretty good, actually that's not as reliable. You really don't want to do that. You want to make sure the human verifies the information. And so we make sure we do that as well. Another feature that we've added it seems like a minor feature. It's a report. There's an ND URL CSV output report. I believe it's in database view. And you can select the entities you want. And let's see if we've got that here. I'm not sure I remember where that exactly is. So, but anyway, that's one to look at, because one of the things we found is if you want to connect to other tools, one of the easiest ways is just simply creating a hyperlink between the tool. So since we generate a hyperlink for every object in our database, so if I go to the entity view of this, entity view of it, there's the URL right here. So this object has a unique URL. And so now you can use that to reference the specific object you're linking to. So let's say you're doing requirements in Innoslate and you're working in another tool like Cameo, and you want to make sure you tie the two together. Of course, the requirement to the Cameo drawing, you can simply associate a hyperlink from here to that, and then you can use that hyperlink to come back to Innoslate. So again, that's a good way for you to interact between other tools without duplicating information. One of the things that the U.S. Army is pushing is this concept of a data mesh. And the idea there is you're trying to keep the data where it resides and not duplicating it and moving it and then having configuration management issues. So that's a really exceptional capability in the tool. Well, I've talked a lot, and I want to make sure I leave a little time for questions. So I'm sure there are questions at this point, quite a bit of number of questions. So.
If you haven't done so, please send your question to the panel on the right that pops up after clicking Q&A on the top bar. I hope everyone enjoyed seeing Innoslate's new features. If you're interested in having our team help you get started using Innoslate, contact our sales team. You can reach our team by email at sales@innoslate.com or through our website, specinnovations.com/contact-us. So the first question, when will 4.11 be available for Innoslate Enterprise self-hosted installations?
Yes, so we're wrapping that up. The goal is to have it by the end of next week. We usually wait a full month after the cloud release to make sure the enterprise version, since enterprise has to be installed by individual people, individual groups, we want to make sure it is as bug-free as possible. And so there's always, whenever you do a new release, some minor things that tweak. You see us all the time with the operating system updates. Invariably, there's another operating system update a couple weeks later. We're trying to avoid that kind of thrashing that the people have to deal with. So particularly since a lot of times they have to go through quite a bit of security testing and things like that on installation. So so that's why we wait a full month. So again, I think it's the 28th coming up.
Great. Does the risk burn down chart still only key off of probability, or can you base the burn down off of another parameter?
No, so the definition of a burn down chart by DoD, and that's what we're using is their guide for this, is you cannot change the consequence. If you change the consequence, you have a different risk in their formulation of it. So simply, if you do decide you want to do that, then you would want to show it as a different risk. That doesn't satisfy necessarily everybody, and we can certainly discuss it in the future. But we're just trying to follow standards as much as we can.
Can we train the test plan AI with a learning language model from using our data dictionary? And or does it learn from the full or upper set of requirements? Design, ICD, existing tests.
Hmm. Right now, the only training we do is we train it on the help center itself. I don't know if it can actually do that. But again, I'm not a super AI expert, I guess. So if anybody has on the team has some inputs on that, let us know. Add that to it. And certainly, if we take that question also and get back to you. Get back to you with it. Next question.
All right. A future feature request. Please enable auto/AI ICD generation polling from cross-project sources.
Ooh, okay. Like it. We'll see what we can do about that.
Next question. Can we change the language model in the backend? Also, do the API call costs fall on our enterprise?
The language model. You mean LML? What does they mean LML? So we base the tool on the lifecycle modeling language. You can change the language in the sense of the schema editor. You can add things to it. You can't subtract things from it, but you can hide them in the schema. So you could do things like that. Not sure what else would make any sense in that situation. At some point, you start breaking the tool if you break the language too much or change the language too much in the back end.
Any plans for adding locally hosted models from Olema or LM Studio running on localhost?
I'm not familiar with those products, so I wouldn't know how to do that. Would we be interested in looking into that if somebody's interested? Sure. But yeah, I don't know specifically the specifics of those other tools.
Can you run something similar to a suspect analysis against a complete requirements document to identify requirements that may be candidate risks, which you could then run the AI risk tool against to help down select hundreds of requirements that may include risks and not do so manually?
So right now we're doing it individual by individual, but we are looking at the possibility of that in the future. And there's nothing that prevents you from, exporting a document and then running more massive things with it. We do some of that ourselves already with the intelligence view because we have some heuristics there. But that might be a place we could do something more like that. So again, that's certainly a very interesting feature request.
Sorry if I missed it on admin. Can we turn off ChatGPT? Don't know how to protect IP except to turn it off. I know
yes.
open up.
Oh yeah, you can disable everything. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and you can do that today. You could do that before the previous version we had, so you could turn it off at the organizational level. So yeah, but now we give you a lot more flexibility with picking ones that are getting approved. I mean, both Ask Sage and I believe Azure are approved for IL5. So I think that's we're getting there.
How much AI is available on an installation on a disconnected network?
So I think if you're completely disconnected, you wouldn't have access to it at all. So the AI we'd have is our built-in NLP algorithms, which we use for quality checking. So you still have the quality checker, you still have the traceability assistant, and you still have the intelligence view are all AI features that we've had for years. And that works anywhere. It's the new generative AI features that would be challenging, to say the least.
Can risks be generated against custom classes? If so, how is the AI trained to get smarter over time against such new classes? For
So,
example, action to
yeah,
design decision.
sure. So remember that we had the one where the user could prompt, and there was a prompt option. You put in whatever it was and what the prompt is. You can use that then anywhere and have your own query for risk. Our risk ones. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, actually, come back to it. I believe when I showed you the one from the risk matrix, that could be generated from anything. I generated it from an action. So yeah, I think you can do it there directly as well. But yeah, you have two options for that.
Will LML specification have another update sometime?
Yes, actually, we're working on version 2.0. That's a fairly major rework of the document. And we're including in there program management class information and V&V class information to give it more detail. But again, it's a lot of people will think it's a pretty minor change when they look at it, but for us, it's a pretty big walkthrough. We're spending time the lifecycle modeling. I'm putting my secretary lifecycle modeling language steering lifecycle modeling language organization on now. Yeah, we're definitely looking at the whole thing end to end. So it's quite a bit an effort. We're also planning to make it digitally deliverable. So it'll be one of the first digitally delivered standards out there.
Given the growing concerns surrounding AI, what measures can the government take to protect itself from potential risks, especially when handling controlled unclassified information? Additionally, what powers the AI capabilities you use, and is this technology developed in-house? Lastly, what are the advantages and disadvantages of sticking with prior versions of AI systems due to concerns over security and regulatory compliance?
Yes, those are all big concerns. The providers themselves of the AI are working on those. So Ask Sage was certainly one of the ones we contacted and was kind of at the forefront of this. The Ask Sage head of Ask Sage was a former CIO of DoD. And so he's very, very aware of the problems and concerns that DoD has. And I believe that all those are reflected almost everywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's classified information or it's just intellectual property. Everybody's concerned about having their data leaked out. And we're very, very concerned about that too, which is why we partnered with Ask Sage and add them in. We're seeing the same movement in OpenAI and also Azure and a number of other providers. So as those come along, I think over time we'll be able to assess the risks and mitigate those risks pretty substantially if we have it already. So I think ultimately we'll have to get it so we get it in a disconnected network situation. So you'll probably be porting large language models into that environment and using those behind your firewalls. And so that's probably where we'll end up going. And that's really a goal I think we all have is with this generative AI is we want to learn off your data set. And so we are very supportive of that, but we want your data set to stay with you. So we get that, and we're following that as closely as we can.
Great. Last question. How do I sign a document?
Oh, I didn't show that, did I? I knew there was something. So that's in the baselining feature. So let me go to get back to the other picture. Just a minute here. I got to move my other window again. So in here, where you have a document, back to documents. So in here, when you baseline a document now, you have the ability to sign it. So if I want to create version 3 here of this document, I would come over here to baseline, and then this is where I could add signature. So we'll do the V3 here, and this just came in. Now I have the option to draw my signature, so I could draw it myself, and you can see that's not what I'd want. or I can generate one by just typing my name. That looks much nicer, right? Great. So there's my new baseline. I can come back and see it. And there's the information about it, when it was signed, who signed it. So you can create your baselines, and you might have multiple signatures. I would do, something like V.3.1, 3.2, 3, whatever you want to do, however you want to do that in terms of identifying the baseline. And so you end up having maybe versions of it depending on who signed it, subversions. So that's a way to handle that problem. By the way, we always tracked the signature, really, in terms of an electronic signature. We just didn't have this nice, pretty, signing of it. Each object is being tracked with a history file with who changed it and when they changed it. So that's already really there. So if I even open that history dialog, and this is my requirements history, I can see who changed it.
That looks like all the time we have for today. We would like to thank you for joining us. As a reminder, we'll be following up with you very soon to send you a link to the recording and the presentation slide deck. We hope you can join us for next month's webinar, a digital engineering case study for aerospace, with guest speaker Sabrina Barm on Tuesday, March 25th. Your link to sign up will be in the email that is coming soon to your mailbox with the slides and recording. We also encourage you to visit our website and our blog, as well as connect with us on social media. That concludes today's presentation. Have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.